in a game that was so impressive on both sides of the ball, I'm going to make you choose what was more impressive, the offense tonight or the defense. Which one do you think was more impressive tonight?
Offense.
Really? Okay.
Yes. And I'll say this. I think the defense played incredibly. And I think that if you ask me to take a position, I do this with my students all the time. It's like, yeah, it's you can't remain neutral on a moving train, right? Like that's this old saying, like take a position and defend it, right?
Yep.
I think that from Fred Warner's punch out on Tony Pollard to the picks and to the consistent pressure and eliminating the middle of the field for the most part and eliminating the big play, Shavarius Ward making plays down the sideline and never seeing him because he's blanketing everybody and CD being quiet. I love it. And so the defense played really well. To me, though, this defense that they're facing tonight is a lot better than the Dallas Cowboys offense that the 49ers were facing. And if I'm going to say, and the way that the Niners just methodically went down, and when Kyle was saying it should have been more, he was right. Like they got the ball back with about a minute 50 when the Cowboys punted, when I thought they should have gone for it, and on 4th and 2 from around the 50. And Kyle calls a timeout at 2nd and 2, right before they run the play. And it looked like they were actually going to pick up the first down. And I think Kyle called that. He's like, oh, I want to get this right because I want to go down and score. And they didn't. They did a 3 and out, right? It was, and you could see the frustration on Kyle's face, even though he knew the game was probably out of hand already. And I think that to me is what's so impressive about this team. The response, the Spencer Burford hold, which I thought was a questionable call. And to go back and think, oh, you just had that monster play to Ayuk, and then to go right back down again,
Debo,
and just like nothing. And it was the fumble from Pollard, and the fumble from McCaffrey, and then the stop, and then the flea flicker. Like it was like nothing happened. This offense allows this defense, to me. I think last year it was the other way around a little bit, where the defense put the offense in short fields and X, Y, and Z. I think this year the defense is playing well, but I think the defense is really feeding off the offense, the confidence that Brock Purdy has gained. And to me, that's what makes this team so special and so fearsome and so scary for other teams. I guarantee you this. There are amazing quarterbacks or amazing players. There is no other team than the 49ers. Like, there's no way you want to face this team. There aren't weaknesses, to be quite honest. Like, we quibbled about, okay, Isaiah Oliver come in when and if you had to make Demo come in if Isaiah Oliver has to go and Ambry, I'll tell you, they still, and that went down tonight. The Niners were only giving up about 5 yards a pass, and that went down tonight. So it's tough to call, but I will say the offense, yeah.
Yeah, it is tough to call. And, we've talked about it a million times, I feel like, where we thought that this team this year would transition into more of an offensive dominant team than defense. Yeah. And I think that that's certainly played out. You can go either way tonight. I just think, and maybe the offense actually was more impressive, but this was the most impressive performance the defense has put on. So I'm going to give it to them for that reason alone. This was their best performance of the season as well. Maybe both offense and defense, actually, but this was the defense's best performance. Fred Warner was all over the place. It's funny because I tweeted it out and I sent it to you guys in the group chat saying Dak Prescott looks petrified. Immediately after I tweeted it out, he threw the touchdown pass. But realistically, when you look at Dak's eyes all night long, he just looked scared. He looked like he didn't want to be there at all in that game, to me.
And to say this, Jesse, you might be right on this debate because, there's little stats that you can look at that I don't like to box score, Scott, but there's certain stats that I always look at, and it's first downs. And to me, first downs are typically a sign of, how well you methodically pushing the ball down the field. Big plays happen or they don't happen, right?
Yep.
The 49ers had 8 first downs in the first quarter. How many first downs do you think the Dallas Cowboys had in the entire game?
6.
Oh, no. The 49ers had 8 first downs early on in the first quarter, on the first several drives.
Okay.
So how many do you think the Cowboys had the whole game?
6.
It was 8. Okay.
8.
So
Okay.
8 to 25. Okay. 8 to 25. Like you tripled them up on first. Like you can't win. I mean, the Niners had 30 first downs, I think, against the Steelers. So like you see but again, that was an ass whipping. So it's like the one thing I will say is the third down efficiency is the one quibble, and they got better tonight. But I think the touchdown was on a third down, and there was a big play. There was a play before that led to that touchdown. It was on a third down that led the Cowboys, I think, converted on 4 from 11, but they only had 11 third down opportunities. They never had the ball. So, and they had a bunch of turnovers. So that nullifies that. But yeah, that's that. If you wanted to like go light a fire in the locker room and say, "Hey guys, you guys are awesome," but hey, let's clean this up and get off the field on third and longs. If they could do that consistently, I don't.
Defense forced, what was it, 4 turnovers, and I want to say on the first 3 drives they forced 2 3 and outs and a turnover, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, it was dominant on both sides. It was dominant on both sides, but man, defense was really good tonight too. I honestly, the real answer is both. That's the real answer, but
it is.
We're choosing. Gosh damn it. Okay. Looking at this 49ers schedule, and I don't think they're going to go undefeated. I mean, that would be the first time since the Patriots did it before they lost in the Super Bowl. Only one other time in NFL history has a team gone undefeated all the way through a Super Bowl, and that was the 72 Dolphins way before, when they were playing way less games. They had like 14-game seasons then. Realistically, is there a game or a patch of games that look like they could be potential losses for the 49ers? And if so, when does that happen on this schedule? I know that it's hard to win week in and week out. I don't want to act like they're just going to blow everybody out, although they could. I don't want to be disrespectful to the NFL and other teams, but it just doesn't seem like there's going to be many chances for losses on this schedule.
All right, I'll bite, and I don't think it's going to happen, but I'll say that the Cleveland Browns game next week, looks like it's going to be a rain game, kind of be cool and rainy, kind of 50s, and weather can change, but it looks like it's like just steady rain forecast in that area for like weeks, kind of like it was in the Bay Area after Christmas last year. You've got Deshaun Watson, who was medically cleared last week. I know he's not been the same player, but he was medically cleared last week, but he didn't play. And there was kind of questions about what that's. The Browns have defensive players that can strike fear in you. They have guys like Myles Garrett, right? They have throughout, and they have guys along the offensive line that are really stout. They have weapons. And Nick Chubb is out, and so that's a big deal. But do I think that they're going to lose to the Browns? No. Do I think that in a potentially bad weather game, that they're on the road on playing a noon Central, 1:00 Eastern game, cross country can be tighter than it might be on paper? Sure. But even then, you got them. They're going to Minnesota. I'm going to be at the Vikings game, so they're not losing that. Okay, Sour Death Sam, meeting up with Sour Death Sam at the Vikings game. Like it's going to be unreal. We're gonna paint Minneapolis red afterwards. Literally, I just made that up. That's one of
He's made the whole thing up. Good job. Yeah.
No, not the whole thing. We actually are doing that.
I know you are.
So then the Bengals, right? Then it's the Bengals at home before the bye week. And the Bengals it was funny day. It was like, oh, the Bengals are back. The Bengals are back. And look, all due respect, the Niners played the Cardinals last week too, but it was the Arizona Cardinals. They're coming back down to earth. It was 19 targets for Jamar Chase, which is pretty phenomenal. So, but it's at home. It's at Levi's. I honestly think the Niners are going to the bye 8-0. And at that point, you come back from the bye, and I believe it's so there's the next game at Jacksonville. At Jacksonville, I believe it's on like the November 12th. Then you're at home for Tampa, which you're going to be at.
Yep.
And then you're on the road in Seattle. Those three, okay. So not so much the Tampa game, but the Jacksonville game on the road in Seattle on Thanksgiving night on a short week. It's a short week, and you're going into Seattle. I think those are probably the two realistic games where you might potentially be like see some like chinks in the armor, and then you've got Philly on December 3rd. So there's going to be some interesting, yeah,